Well, let's just start off with a quick reminder, and that is that I do an animation evening in February at the AGM that no one wants to come to, and we look at the detail then. But this is how I made Bell Book and Candle. No production values, just a quick run through of the technology. Welcome to my studio, large TV and a large laptop. The Bio Tapestry is really inspiring, lots of really good stories in there, obviously the first comic book, and my hero, Oliver Postgate, has picked up on that and created a rather good book called Beckett. So lots of inspiration there. I started off with a script and rather unfashionably a storyboard, which I know is something we all try to avoid if we can because we don't like paperwork. Okay, so right now here we go. The storyboard is then filmed and stuck into my editor so that I then get a very good idea of exactly what the film's going to look like, with no animation, nothing expensive, rotten sketches wherever necessary, and it kind of does the job. Then I can start looking at all my inspiration, the photographs, rough pictures that I get from all over the place, and then start on my own rough sketches. Eventually these will be traced and turned into real drawings. Lots of them, all sorts. Not all will be used, most will be discarded. But these are the drawings that I will be using and are basically the backbone of my film. So let's have a look at the Bishop. Here he is. He is actually drawn in Adobe Animate, and if we take his clothes off, we can see that there are about 4 or 5 parts that are all separately drawn on different layers. To animate him, we use a classic tween between the 2 positions of his arm, and in line with the Bio Tapestry that seems quite reasonable. You can see the number of assets and things that we've got in this particular Adobe Animate frame, and they can all be moved around a bit. And this is the bit that you're all after, which is what happened to the AI. This is Jim's AI horse, and can you see the amount of motion blur around the feet? That was a big problem, as well as the 2-tone green. I could not get rid of it even with more AI. So what I did was actually drew over it using existing drawings, and it was drawn over electronically using vectors in Adobe Animate, so that I ended up with just 4 frames out of 140 for my horse riding cycle. Not bad, eh? Then, as the pros do, we move into After Effects, and you can see how different this is from most linear editors. All the shots are stacked up, which means if you have a lot of shots, you're going to go right down the page, and every one of them can be moved in relation to every other one, but they can be locked and held in the same position. It takes a lot of getting used to, but I did finally get used to it, and here you can see how I can start modifying individual frames without interfering with anything else, which comes in extremely useful. You can edit to within a frame. Then of course we're into Adobe Audition, which gives us the chance to do exactly the same thing with all of our sound. All our sound tracks can all be laid one on top of the other and moved around just as much as we like against our visual reference track. Then finally I will take the final soundtrack and finish off my visual track. So everything works out absolutely beautiful, which it did, I suppose, but that's the learning process.